The Red Cantaloupe experience, in my mind, is everything that deals with the spirituality, the quality of the musicianship, the engagement of the audience. I look to seek out the elite musicians that was going to deliver that message. These guys are passionate about what they do. Nick, Jeff, and all the other fellas.
Whenever I have to perform, I always want to try to include Jeff, Smitty, and Edwin because we work very well together. Guests can expect a lot of energy.
I attribute that energy just to the positive relationship that we all have. And we listen to each other so that we can embellish and support each other the best way possible.
But we're coming with it.
Welcome to Angel City Culture Quest, where art, social justice, and the environment meet in Los Angeles. I am your host, Melina Paris, and I welcome you to this episode. Hello, folks, and welcome to Angel City Culture Quest. Our guests today include three longtime jazz musicians who have graced many venues in Los Angeles and across the country with their respective talents. With us today are producer and host of A Red Cantaloupe Experience, Robert J. Carmack, jazz pianist and musical director Nick Smith, and vocalist Jeff Robinson. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hi there. Hi, Jeff.
Hello.
Good to see you all. These artists have joined us today to discuss A Red Cantaloupe Experience, the high-energy live jazz concert featuring the Nick Smith Quartet made its debut this summer, served up hot at Roscoe's Jazz Lounge in Long Beach. We're gathered today because A Red Cantaloupe Experience will return to Roscoe's on Sunday, November 24th, to present The Music, the Magic, in celebration of two musical legends, George Duke and Al Jarreau. The great news is the Nick Smith Quartet is on the bill again for November. The LA-based band features Ricky Woodard on sax and flute, Edwin Livingston on acoustic and electric bass, Marvin Smitty Smith on drums, and Nick Smith on keys, piano, and Fender. In addition, Jeff Robinson will be on vocals and surprise guest Manyungo Jackson on percussion. The live show will be streamed on ViewStub as well. The event even includes a bonus attraction with magician, illusionist David Golidi Jr. So first, let me introduce the producer and host of the event. Robert J. Carmack is a musician, actor, playwright, journalist, and jazz historian. Coming out of the 1960s and 70s Black cultural movement, Carmack studied music, communications, and theater arts, earning a Bachelor's of Arts degree from California State University, Dominguez Hills, and a Master of Fine Arts at Columbia University in New York. Robert, we spoke at first when I interviewed you for Random Lengths News after the first show at Roscoe's. At that time, you explained your vision. Can you tell us why you have launched the Red Cantaloupe brand?
Yes, be glad to. First of all, the whole branding concept of Red Cantaloupe came with my idea that I was going to establish a series of events at various jazz venues. The first one was in Los Angeles in Leimert Park at the World Stage, where I did a tribute concert and homage to the great Herbie Hancock and the great Freddie Hubbard. And that particular show was called The Red Clay of Cantaloupe Island. Out of that title, I said, well, the next show will have to be with that form, because I love the way the people responded to that phrase, Red Cantaloupe. I even came up with a logo of Red Cantaloupe. So I said, this is going to be my brand, to set me aside from everybody else that's out there just saying, oh, I'm producing this and this is blah, blah, blah. But the Red Cantaloupe Experience, in my mind, is everything that deals with the spirituality, the quality of the musicianship, the engagement of the audience that will be at the event and what they will see and experience and feel. And so that all goes into me wanting to push that brand even further. So I'm excited to present this George Duke and Al Jarreau concept. And I had this particular band in mind because once they had established themselves out there in Long Beach, the audience demanded that I have another one immediately 2 weeks after that. So I said, well, it can't be that fast, but I'll come back and I'll come back bigger and better. So I built a bigger, stronger mousetrap, as they say, by coming up with this concept. And I added Jeff and I added Mayungo to bolster it even more so with the sound. And so that feeds into the red cantaloupe experience because it's going to be always growing a little bit bigger, a little bit better, and it vines out like a cantaloupe growing on a vine. You know, these are different events, but it still retains the high quality and the elite performances by these wonderful musicians.
Thank you, Robert. And I want to second that because as somebody who saw the show in Long Beach, I was genuinely impressed and the energy was amazing in that room.
It was.
And it stayed. It went up high and it came back to a kind of what you might say is just a good level, but it just stayed throughout the whole performance. And on the Red Cantaloupe, I just wanted to highlight that these events fall under, I guess, a sort of umbrella, but they could also include theater, potentially a podcast or a poetry slam or performance and youth presentations in
Absolutely
other aspects.
Yes.
But most importantly, you said you're on a mission to do your part to see that the great LA legacy of jazz doesn't stop.
Absolutely. I began this process as a young saxophonist, student of music under the tutelage of Mr. Henry Grant and Gerald Wilson back in 1964. As a little junior high school student that was learning jazz phrases. And he taught me a lot about what was important on stage and most important, how to conduct ourselves off stage as well, how to dress and that sort of thing. So it stayed with me through my entire life. And so I try to bring all of those experiences that I have in my past, even including the theater aspect of it, because that's my background as well. There's drama in music. I see film noir in a lot of the music that's being played by people like Nick or some of the greats, George or Thelonious Monk or John Coltrane. That's what I see. I always used to see little films in my head as I hear this music. And so that's what I be thinking along those lines when I put these titles together and I say, okay, how can I integrate all of that I've learned over the years and integrate all that history into this and then inform the audience as well. So I call it edutainment, so to speak.
Yeah. Right.
And that's what I try to bring across to the audiences when they come to a Red Cantaloupe experience.
That's wonderful. I love film noir. That's great.
Oh, I love it.
So in that vein, Nick, can you tell us how Robert connected with your quartet for that performance?
Okay, I met Robert at a gig that I was doing with this drummer named Felton Sutton. I think that was out, it was out in Venice. And Robert approached me and he complimented me on my performance. And he was telling me about this event that he has coming up and he'd like to speak to me about being a part of it. I said, okay, great. So we exchanged information and we've been in communication and finding out that we sort of know a lot of the same people. So, of course, whenever I have to perform, I always want to try to include Jeff, Smitty, and Edwin because we have a lot. And we work very well together. Now, Ricky later on came in because I did a gig with Ricky. I've heard his name many times, and everyone was saying, man, you never played with Ricky Woodard. You got to check him out. So finally, Ricky called me to do a show with him, and I was very impressed with his talent. And I told him, I said, well, hey, I get some upcoming things. I would love for you to come perform with me, and that's how everything connected.
What can guests expect from the upcoming show?
Well, guests can expect a lot of energy. They're definitely going to hear the influence that inspired not only me, but Jeff and the other musicians. Because to me, George Duke was a very prolific musician. And it's unfortunately a lot of critics back in the day, especially if you come out first being known as a jazz musician, and then if you play commercial music, well, back then you was called a sellout. And a lot of people don't really know the greatness of George Duke. I mean, there's no way in the world that man could have performed with Sarah Vaughan or Cannonball Adderley if he really couldn't play. So, yeah, you're going to see a lot of energy. You're going to see fun. The energy that you saw the first time is going to even be higher because, we're going to pick I feel, and me and Jeff discussing it amongst ourselves, energetic tunes and the most well known that people will recognize, and we're gonna put our spin on it.
Can't wait. I'm going to just give the audience a little bit of history with your background so they have an idea if they haven't already heard of you yet. This is just a portion of Nick's bio. Nick is a jazz pianist who is also extremely skilled at several other musical genres, including Latin, rhythm and blues, rock, and country. His talent reflects Nick's passion for excellence and his mastery of his craft, from performing to composing to arranging to producing. An alumna of Berklee College of Music, Nick's career highlights include time with The Tonight Show Band, an extensive service as musical director and keyboardist for Grammy-winning artist Stanley Clarke. Nick has scored for film and TV and recorded with more than 20 artists. His catalog of original composition features straight ahead, fusion, and contemporary jazz, rock, R&B, and funk. While Nick's latest release, Romance, focuses on contemporary jazz, his previous projects, Influenced and It's Like That, emphasized straight-ahead jazz. Nick is currently working on multiple projects. And I just want to add, I like this note in here. You consider jazz a spiritual, versatile, and challenging art form. Just a few of the pianists that have influenced Nick are Herbie Hancock, Thelonious Monk, Gonzalo Rubalcaba, did I pronounce that right?
Yes.
And McCoy Tyner.
Yes.
That's a great list. I want to add in a little bit about you, Jeff. Jeff Robinson, as a vocalist, specializes in a hypnotic blend of original jazz and soul recordings. His voice evokes memories of Marvin Gaye, Al Green, and Sam Cooke, all wrapped into a haunting jazz package. Jeff exploded on the jazz scene in London, playing the famous Jazz Cafe, and was a fixture on London's Jazz FM radio. His most recent CD, Eyewitness, has been noted as a deep-reaching, moody, but often uplifting testament to the human condition. Jeff has performed at Playboy Jazz Festival and in many of the best jazz venues on the West Coast. So, Jeff, can you talk about the energy between the band as you're getting prepared to perform in this show?
The energy. Well, like Nick preluded, the gentlemen that are playing, we all have worked together and we have a good working relationship. So the vibe is very positive. So the energy is high. And because of the level of musicianship is high, we all kind of exhort each other through the music. We push each other. It's a segmented thing. One person may do something, another person kind of fills in or picks up that energy. So as far as the energy goes, it's based upon our positive relationship as people, as musicians, and the fact that we are committed to listening to each other while we play. So It's not about trying to just show off. It's about listening so that whatever somebody is playing, we can all work together and complement each other the best way possible. So I attribute that energy just to the positive relationship that we all have and the fact that we admire each other's playing so that we trust each other and we listen to each other so that we can embellish and support each other the best way possible.
That's good. And it sounds like it's a great communication.
Oh, yeah. My mother used to always tell me, she said, there's a reason why you have two ears and only one mouth. So she would say that because it's more important for you to listen before you respond. And when I'm with these guys, I usually try to listen so that when I can respond, it'll be intelligent. It'll be according to what is being played, as opposed to me just trying to stand out on my own. We have to work together to create a sound. So yeah, I would say that's pretty much the energy that I get from Edwin, from Nick, from Marvin. It's like we listen to each other and we appreciate what each other's doing.
That's great. I'm hearing a lot of mutual respect in that.
Yes.
And that's how you can respond to each other so well. That's what creates that magic energy.
The respect is what makes you want to play with certain people because you value their musicianship. So for all of us, I would say it's mutual. We all got love for each other and we all want to support each other. Marvin has a gig on the 29th that I'm going to try to support too at the Baked Potato. Although there are a lot of musicians in LA, it's a very small community. So you try to support each other when you perform. So I want to go check Marvin out. When he can, he comes see me or, Nick, and we just do that to encourage each other.
That's great. I love it. Now, listening to one of your videos recently, I could hear echoes of Al Jarreau in the way you deliver your voice.
Well, he's a guy who, like we talk about admiration and all of that. I have a whole lot of admiration for what he does. It almost seemed like he was kind of in the same kind of mode I was in, even as a person, because he was an educator too. He's a teacher. So I really relate to a lot of what he does. And the first time I heard him singing, it made me think about all the times that I was trying to imitate instruments. And I was thinking, and it kind of was funny to me because I guess, when you're doing something that you think, when you're caught up in doing something, you think that you're the only one that's doing it sometimes. So when I found out there was other people that was using their voice to instrumentalize things, it really inspired me and it made me want to get better at it, especially after hearing Al do it.
Yeah, great singer, great performer. So we're looking forward to hearing you too on this upcoming show.
Yeah, anytime you do a tribute to people like George Duke and Al Jarreau, a lot is expected. Too much is given, much is required. So we got to make it work.
Yeah, I think your voice is sort of diverse. You have a lot of different expressions in it.
I tried. It's kind of interesting because I've heard all kinds of things. Mostly I've heard, you don't sound like a singer. That's what I hear most of the time. So I don't know. I guess people have an idea what a singer is supposed to sound like. But most of the time, I think it's just a matter of personality and how people conduct themselves. Because a lot of times people expect musicians to be very braggadocious and demonstrative and stuff like that, because they're in front of people all the time. Mm-hmm. But it's not like that all the time. So right. I guess we get misjudged.
Thank you so much, Jeff. This just occurred to me. Nick, you're just a consummate professional musician, and your attention to detail is amazing. You cover all the details just as good as you cover all those keys on your keyboard. I mean, it's amazing. And talking between you guys as musicians, I'm just curious, in a show like this, it couldn't be pre-planned, but how much improvisation is coming in there when you're performing?
Well, it's going to be quite a bit. And one of the things, like Jeff iterated about his mother, well, my father would always emphasize to me, don't dilly-dally. That was his expression to me, meaning if you're not going to give 100%, you're wasting everybody's time, okay? Because, see, you are a representation of you and the others who are working with you. And see, with this unit, as Jeff said, not only do we have each other's love for the music, we definitely get along outside of the music. I mean, I consider these guys not only to be my friends, but my extended family, because we'll call one another just to check and see how each other's doing. And if somebody gets into a little snack, we can help each other out, we'll do that. And that's rare here in this town, because most of these guys, after they play a gig, everybody disappear. You don't hear from each other till the next gig. Me and Jeff, we get on the phone, clowning and laughing. I'll talk to Smitty, I'll talk to Edwin. The musical gift that these guys have and the seriousness that they put into it, I'm not into that leapfrog, meaning, okay, I had Smitty, let me try this guy, let me try this guy. My attitude is, if it's not broke, why are you trying to fix it? So I put in a lot of time when I'm not with these guys, and I can hear what they put in the time. It makes me feel very good when I call them up and someone is not available for a gig. It's like, oh man, let me see if I can make a change or something, because they will go out of their way so we can work together. Because when we bring it, I tell people, we coming with it. We're not going to accept it.
Yeah. And you're all on the same page with that.
Yes.
That's great. So that encourages lots of wonderful music as well as the improvisation that comes with it.
Thank you.
Hello, folks. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about a red cantaloupe experience today with three longtime LA-based jazz musicians. Producer and host of the event, Robert J. Carmack, musical director and keyboardist, Nick Smith, and vocalist, Jeff Robinson, are here to talk about the event coming up at Roscoe's Jazz Lounge, November 24th. Thank you for listening.
Time is valuable and good. Please don't direct me to the fact. I'm giving you a minute or else I'll turn my back.
Hello, folks. This is your host, Melina Paris. As Angel City Culture Quest begins its 4th year, we are dedicated to bringing you quest-worthy inspiration. With so much to cover in the Harbor region and Los Angeles in art, books, film, music, activism, and more. It's a challenge that I'm honored to embrace, discovering and bringing you the inspired stories and works of many different artists. A major highlight of 2024 was to present our video episode in front of a live audience, Consciousness Through the Lens of Abstraction, featuring esteemed artists Marie Thibault and June Edmonds. You can find that on our YouTube. That was a huge push, and we did it with the help of your support. I'm so grateful. Exciting developments are happening. Stay informed by liking, subscribing, and following our updates, featuring more great artists and authors, the latest in important documentaries, filmmaking, and more. And if you're able, please join me in this quest with your support. Think of it as a cultural tip jar. I would be honored to have your support to further my ability to bring you the powerful works of these artists and others and the cultural content that you crave. To donate, please go to patreon.com/Angel City Culture Quest. There you can find all of our past episodes. Thank you. So, Robert, I want to come back around to the meaning behind a red cantaloupe experience. I'm paraphrasing, but during our interview, you expressed that the red and the cantaloupe, to you, represent the blood of people who have fought for freedom and civil rights. Can you please elaborate on this?
Well, I used to live in Atlanta, Georgia for a while prior to me moving back to California from 1997 to 2000. And while down there, I gathered with different musicians and I was doing mostly spoken word. I developed a jazz society down there and ran that for the time that I lived there. But I used to write these poems about red clay because I would be riding around the city and I see exposed dirt laying on the side and it always was red. And I thought to myself, because the way I think sometimes is, okay, that's symbolic of something. What is it? And then I thought where I was in a deep Jim Crow South where I was born. And I used to see the red clay. Even the women that were pregnant in the 50s, they used to eat the red clay for the minerals that was in there. So that was one concept. And then I started writing this poetry about it in Atlanta. And I thought about that. I said, you know what? The reason why because so many people died here for whatever reasons or not, this is soaked into the ground and it became red. And I said, that's the reason why it's red clay. And then I took a little bit of that when I did red clay was a tune by Freddie Hubbard. And the Cantalope Island was Herbie Hancock's tune. And when we was doing the tribute to them, I just integrated the two and said the red clay of Cantalope Island. So it's like you go to that island and it's made of red clay. And it's the blood of people who came before us. So that's what it symbolizes, in my opinion. But I saw it as the blood of the people who came before me. My ancestors who were brought here in chains. And I thought it would tie all of that in. And then I looked to seek out the elite musicians that was going to deliver that message. And I brought it in that first show about the red clay of Cantalope Island. And then I sought out somebody else that's even higher and even more expansive with the music. And that's when I brought in Nick. And then he brought the guys that he had with him. I was elated because those guys I was going to approach anyway, some of them. So it just worked out that way. And then I knew Jeff from a previous relationship in the Leimert Park area. There used to be a lot of the World Stage and then Fifth Street Dicks. And those were little hot spots around locally that we used to all gather musicians, poets, all kinds of artists, whether you were a pictorial artist, just somebody who danced or just liked to write. All those people gathered in that little hub area. So all of that stuff is relevant to me when I'm coming up with ideas and how I'm going to market, how I'm going to sell this concept to the people, and then delivering on the promise that it's going to be the greatest show that you've ever seen. And I don't want to be P.T. Barnum here, but hey, this was a fantastic show, and this is even greater. I just wanted to add a little bit of flavor this time and added a magician, but don't get it twisted. We're here to see the music and the magic of these two great artists being interpreted by these artists right here, Jeff, Nick, and the fellas. It's going to be a barn burner. And when I say that, I don't throw that around loosely. It used to be an old term, but it means that, hey, they bring it. 24/7.
You're right. Agree.
You were there.
I was there.
I'm not lying.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was intense, but in the best way. The room was just bubbling the whole way. And I wanted to say, Robert, thank you for bringing that history into this. I think it's important. And who are we if we don't know our history? So we have to share that moving forward. And it's wrapped in so much love, energy, stories, and as you said, education. So you got it together with edutainment. Is there anything else anybody would like to add before we let you go?
I want to say thank you for giving us this time and opportunity to connect. And it's always great to see you. And I appreciate the love and support that you've always given me. And I'm glad you enjoyed that first performance. And hopefully you enjoy the second one even better.
I will, I'm sure. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it.
And again, I have to give a special shout out to Robert because, Los Angeles have a lot of people here who make pie crust promises. And we all know pie crust breaks up because people will tell you what you want to hear, but do they follow through? And this gentleman, everything he said he was going to do, he did it. And from the bottom of my heart, I can't thank you enough. And I look forward to bigger and better things in the future. And of course, I got to give a big shout out to my man, Jeff, because he really took my CD to the next level, the way he sang 1999 and the other songs that he performed. When I first heard that brother sing, I said, okay, my hair was this short, but by the time I got home, I had a Don King afro. I said,
that's an endorsement.
Man, this brother got a lot of things to do.
Well, I just want to say that I'm just thankful for the opportunity to do what I love, which is music. And I appreciate Robert, who I've known for a long time, who has kind of like been one of the main impresarios of LA in terms of jazz, in terms of music. And people like him inspire us to do our best because we know that there is an element of people that are really looking for something to come from us as opposed to just being sold on something. Or the fact that he appreciates music as art means a lot to me. We make money off this and we survive off this, but it's really the art that inspires us to suffer for this. And those people that help us, and you as well, Melina, who endeavor to bring this kind of stuff to the public, we appreciate it. We really do, because we have too much to worry about in terms of just trying to be good or trying to make sense. And we don't utilize all of the time that's available, I guess, to promote what we do. And the fact that you guys are out there doing it, we're doing this to promote the music, I think is a great thing. Both of you need to be identified and acknowledged for what you're doing. And Nick, man, this guy, I heard him playing. I thought he had 4 hands. I thought he was an alien with 5 hands or something because he plays so fast. He's so skillful. But he also has a real keen sense for composition. And I'm trying to learn as much of that from everybody, especially him, because I want to not only just be able to sing, but to lead, to write. Writing is something kind of important to me. But I sum it all up. I'm very grateful. I'm grateful that people are finding what we're doing is important. And I'm grateful to the people that struggle with us, like you guys, to give you information, to let you know what's up so you can promote what we do to the world. So I thank you very much for what you both do.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
I would just like to comment on, first of all, thank you for your tremendous, well written, well thought out, in depth write up that you gave us. We had so many positive responses to that. I sent that out. The first time I read it, I sent that out to over 300 people. I must have got about 55 or 60 immediate responses saying, wow, I learned a lot of what I didn't know about you in that article that you wrote. I didn't expect that at all. You went very in depth. We had a generous conversation, but I think you also did your research as well and dug into my background, because my background is not just music, it's theater. And you brought up that. And then I was just recently acknowledged by the PBS people, and that was even mentioned in that article. So a lot of people are still responding. And now the word is out that we're coming back. And so your words matter to me first. Secondly, I have nothing but respect for you as a writer, because you get in the nuances, the crevices, all of those areas that a lot of journalists don't even ask. So people don't get to learn about the artist. They spend too much time talking about the flash. Like Jeff was alluding to earlier, we're not just showing off. People get too caught up in the show part of it, but the artistic aspects, the dexterity of the individuals that are doing that is very emotional. I was a musician at one time who enjoyed playing, but I became unable to play again. So I dug my stirs in deeper into learning all I could about the business, all I could about how to communicate to people and engage them so they'll come out and see, because continuing the legacy of this music is one of the most important reasons why I'm still at this, at the age that I'm at. Because if we don't, who will? And then generations behind me, a lot of great musicians coming up, but if they don't know the history, it's just like this guy used to say, how you gonna have leaves and fruit if you don't know the roots? You don't have an idea what the roots is all about. You can't branch out. If it was a root before, it was a seed, then became roots, and then the leaves and the fruit came. If you don't have any of that, what do you have? Chaos sometimes, but in my sense, I like coming together with ninjas of this art form. These guys are ninjas. The highest level of martial arts, these people are martial artists of jazz and music. I won't just say jazz because they're not limited. And that's the other aspect that I brought these particular guys together, because they're so diverse. As I use the phrase, turn on a dime, Nick can go from playing you Thelonious Monk, as in Monkish, or one of his other tunes that he does, or Ugly Beauty or something like that by him, and then turn around and do a funky tune, like Slammin' off one of his other CDs. And Jeff, he could go for doing stuff by Al Jarreau and then turn around and do Distant Lover by Marvin Gaye without any hesitation. But see, that only comes because these guys are passionate about what they do, how they sound, and what they need to do to keep bringing that, to keep putting that in front of that audience so that they'll keep coming back. And that you can't buy, you can't purchase that kind of devotion to the art form we call jazz, or other names that it's been called, but it's American music. And these guys are all about that. I'm so glad that I had an opportunity to meet you, Nick, Jeff, and all the other fellas. And then I just see that it's an opportunity again for me to not just shine as Robert in Red Cantaloupe, but the collective. The whole collective aspect of what we're doing just continues to roll down that path. And then we're picking up stuff like a snowball does. It gets bigger and bigger. And that's the audiences and that are clued into what you're doing. And even if you have limited venues for that, the venues you do have, you got to bring all that you got. I don't like shows being faxed in. That's the bottom line. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Because I wasn't brought up that way. None of these guys were brought up that way. And it's just like he said, don't dilly-dally. My mother said something different. I ain't going to say it, but don't mess around. If you don't know what you're doing, leave it alone.
Yep.
Oh, just stay out of there. You stay in your lane, as they say.
Yeah. Robert, thank you so much for your kind words. And
Thank
again,
you.
Jeff, both of you, I really appreciate it. And Nick as well. It's wonderful knowing and seeing your art. That's a privilege. So
Well, thank
folks
you.
are going to want to check out this show on November 24th at Roscoe's. I want to let you know that we will put these gentlemen's bios on the show notes, and we will link to the article that Robert mentioned as well, so you can get a further background and come to the show, 4 p.m., November 24th at Roscoe's in Long Beach. Fill the house. You will be happy you did. Thank you so much.
Oh, one question.
Yeah.
Where do they go to find your podcast?
I am on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, everywhere you get your podcasts.
Oh, okay.
And it's also on the website for Random Lengths News. And you can find me on YouTube.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
I'd like to say one more thing before we go. Melena, what you're doing is an art. And I agree 100% with what Robert said, because see, the focus is too much on, okay, what kind of car a person drives or what kind of house they live in. That's material stuff. I'm so honored. And I thank you for what you wrote pertaining to our performance. And the focus was mainly on the music. To me, that's the most important thing. And representing the art to the truest form. Because today, people are being misled and the music is being misrepresented. I'm not telling people who to listen to or what not to listen to, but I will suggest you owe it to yourself to find the true story versus just believing his story. Break that word down. His story, not the true story.
Amen. Amen. We went to church today, I guess.
Yes, we had church right here.
Well, thank you again, gentlemen.
Thank
It
you.
was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sending love to you always.
Yeah, mad love and respect.
Likewise. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and recommend on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.